Well, good day. This is Unbound Reports. Here's an example of a simple Unbound report. I know it's really small right now, you can't read it, but we'll just sort of go through it and see what an Unbound report looks like. This report is typed in the MLA style. MLA stands for Modern Language Association, and they're a group of people who get together and decide what a good Unbound report is supposed to look like, and this is an example of one that's supposed to look pretty good. It's typed on 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, and there's no special title page in front. We used to put title pages in the front of essays. A title page used to look like this, for example. It'd have the title of the essay, and then your name would be in the middle, and the date would be at the bottom. But the MLA people thought that was kind of a waste of a piece of paper, so they decided we should just get rid of title pages. So this one doesn't have a title page. You might notice that the whole thing is double spaced. All the way from the very beginning to the very end is all double spaced. If it was single spaced, it would look like this, and that certainly doesn't look very good. So double space looks like that, much better. It has a separate Works Cited page, and we're going to zoom in on that in just a little bit. But these are like the references at the end. It tells you where did you get your information to write your report. Works Cited, we'll go look at that in a minute. We might notice that the margins are 1 inch, both on the left and the right, and the top and the bottom. 1 inch margins all around. There's a header up in the margin. The header has the person's name and their page number. We'll zoom in on that in just a minute. The header is up in the margin. You might notice that in this essay, the sections of the essay have titles. Somebody took the time to make a title for this section, and they underlined the title. That's very nice. That's the MLA style. Let's zoom in and take a look at this a little closer if we can. 100%. We see their names up at the top and their page numbers there. The font is easy to read. It's important to have an easy to read font. This one is Times New Roman. It's important to have a font size that's not too small or not too big. This font size is 12-point font. Let's go to the first page and look around. Here's the very first page. It's got the person's name on the top and then their teachers underneath, the class they're taking. In this case, it must be a high school class. It's in period 2, and the date. And then there's another double space down to the title. This is the title, and it's not all caps, is it? The title is not all capitals. It's in title case. The important words are capitalized, and smaller unimportant words like prepositions with or articles like a, an, or the, or conjunctions like and or but, those are not capitalized. So your first page should look something like this. It's all simply double spaced. Let's go down to the third page and look at this Works Cited. And this is where you get to put all the references that you worked on. The references are in hanging indent. That means that the first line sort of sticks out a little bit and all the other lines are indented. Do you remember how to do that? We do that with Control T. Control T is the hanging indent. There's a few places to find in hanging indent, but the quickest way is to do a hanging indent. Let me show the other place to find a hanging indent. It's on this paragraph dialog box launcher, and if I grab this little guy, it says maybe you want to make a special paragraph right here, and you can say yes, I want to make it hanging. It'll hang by 1/2 inch. That means it's a 1/2 inch from the edge over to where everything else is moved in. And I'll just cancel on that, so that's where it is. Otherwise, instead of going to this dialog box, you could have just done Control T in the first place. Well, I want to take a look at these Works Cited and how they're laid out. See, it has the person's name first, and then it has some stuff, and apparently the stuff has to go in a certain order. At least that's what the MLA says. Let's take a look at some of their rules for Works Cited. A work is maybe a periodical, or maybe you got something off the internet, or maybe you got something out of a book or an encyclopedia or something. You have to tell people, where did you get the information that you put in your essay? Now, if you're going to get information from a book, then the Works Cited should look something like this. It starts out with your last name, comma, first name, and then a period. Title of the book is italicized. Now, it used to be underlined, but the MLA came out with new rules in April of 2009, and so their new rules say that you should not use underline anymore. You should use italics instead. Then you should put the place of publication, where this book come from, what city, followed by a colon and who published this book, followed by a comma and the year of publication. So let's look at some examples of this. I want to especially talk about the title of the book first. How do you write that title of a book? It says here that you should capitalize each word in the title of articles or books, but don't capitalize articles like a, an, or the, and don't capitalize short prepositions like with or for, or conjunctions like and but, unless that article, short preposition, or conjunction is the first word in the title or the subtitle. For instance, this one says Gone with the Wind, and I didn't capitalize with, and I did not capitalize the. The is an article, with is a short preposition, so this is the way the title should be if you were going to recognize this book. Here's another example of a book. It's a famous book called The Art of War, and even though the word the is an article, a, an, or the, I had to capitalize it because it was the first word, and the first word deserves to be capitalized. Here's another example, the one we're going to do, To Kill a Mockingbird, and to is a preposition, and I capitalized it because it's the first word. A is an article, and I did not capitalize it. So if I was going to do this book, it would look something like this. The author's name, Lee is their last name, Harper's their first name, then a period, name of the book is italicized, then a period, where did this book come from? It was published in New York. Who published it? HarperCollins was the publisher of the copy I have. And when was that copy published? Mine was published in 2002. What if the book has more than one author? Now here's a book that has two authors, both Paula and Neil. So how are you going to do that? Well, you just do the best you can. You go like this. Hey, here's the first author, here's the second author. I put a period, name of the book, where was it published, who published it, and what year. So if you have two authors, just put and in the middle. If you have more than three authors, now this book down here has 4 authors. You don't have to list all 4. If you have a lot of authors to make one book, sort of like your typing book has about 8 authors. You can just use this et al. So I say Anne Frances Wysocki et al. Et al means and all the rest. So it's Anne Frances Wysocki and all the rest. So you don't have to list all those if it's more than 3. Here I had a pamphlet. I got this pamphlet and it's called Your Rights Under California Welfare Programs, and it doesn't have an author. It was made by the government, and it was probably made by many people who contributed to it. So I didn't have an author at all. So sometimes you just have to do the best you can. I wrote down the title. I put it italicized, Your Rights Under the California Welfare Programs. I knew it was published in Sacramento, California. I could have read that. And I knew it was published by the California Department of Social Services, and I read that it was published in 2007, but I don't have an author. So if you don't have information, you can't just make it up. You just have to say, hey, it wasn't there, I had to leave it out. Periodicals are newspapers or magazines or newsletters, something that comes out periodically, like weekly or monthly or daily. And here's how you should do a periodical. For instance, a magazine like Black Enterprise Magazine or The Economist Magazine. You put the author or authors of the article that you found in the magazine. Then you put the title in quotations. You put the title of the periodical in italics. Then you put the day, month, and year of that periodical and a colon, followed by what pages did you find it on. So let's look at some examples of that. Well, here's an article that I found in Time Magazine. It was Time Magazine in November 20th, 2000, and on page 70 I found this article called TV Makes a Too Close Call, and I wanted to cite that as one of my references in my Unbound report. So I'm going to use Time Magazine, and I found this article by this guy named James P. whatever his name is. So I wrote it like this. There's his name followed by a period. I put the article title in quotes. I put the name of the magazine in italics, the date, a colon, and then what pages was that article found on. And this article was found on pages 70 and 71. Now sometimes in a magazine the article may not go consecutive pages. Like it might start on page 70 and go to 71. Then there might be a big advertisement, and then it might go to 73. So you don't want to say it goes from 70 to 73 or 70 to 75 if the article is not on every single page. So the way you do that is you just write this. It says it starts on page 70 plus. So go to page 70 and then on I'm not sure exactly where this article is going to stop. You might get information from websites, and if you do, this is the way the MLA wants you to cite that. You put the name of the article that you found on the website, sort of like that periodical, then the name of the site in italics, put the date of posting a revision. Almost every website will tell you what day they posted this thing. Then the name of the institution or the organization that's affiliated with that site, like for instance, it might be a U.S. News and World Report or something like that. Then the date that you accessed it, and then their URL. Let's give it a look and see how this might be. If you got something from Wikipedia, it might be an article about carat, that's like diamond size, and it's in the Wikipedia, and I found, and it was published, it said on the website, it said that article was published on 28 April 2006, but I saw it on 10 May 2009, and then I put the URL of exactly where I found it. So I'm trying to cite my sources, and if I got information from this article in the Wikipedia on a certain day, that's the day I saw it. Now I don't know if that article is still there, and I don't know if it's changed, but I know that on that day in this place I found that information. If you were a professional writing works cited, you'd be very wise to print out that article that you saw, because hey, the internet will change around on you and it won't be there anymore. So you can say, hey, I can prove it. I had it here on this day at this time and I printed it out, and here's the printout. Now if you find an image that you want to give credit to, you say, I found this image and I didn't draw it myself, so you should give the artist some sort of credit. You do it this way. You put the artist's name followed by a period. The name of the image is italicized. The date that that artist created that image. Where is it now? The date you accessed it. So here's an example. This painting down here in the corner was made by a guy named Francisco Goya, and he named that painting the family of Charles IV. He painted that painting in 1800. If you wanted to go see that painting, it's at the Museum del Prado in Madrid. I saw that on 22 May 2009, and here's the website that I saw it at. So let's go back and look at our Unbound report. We'll look at the works cited, and we'll see that they're in alphabetical order, aren't they? They're all in alphabetical order, and they're all using that hanging indent. Well, that's about all there is to Unbound reports. You'll be doing Unbound reports as long as you're in school, that's for sure. And they should look like this, using the MLA style. Hey, that's about all there is to it.